In 1989, avant-garde Italian filmmaker Franco Piavoli directed Nostos the Return. It's an 88-minute long, low-budget adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey set entirely in a fictional Mediterranean dialect, and it's one of the greatest films ever made. The film is completely tonally poetic. It's not particularly concerned with capturing every narrative thread found in Homer's original text, or even most of them, for that matter. Instead, Piavoli is interested in evoking the same lyricism produced by Homer's elusive poetry through the tools accessible to him in the cinematic medium. He's essentially trying to create with image what Homer was able to with word. The Odyssey is obviously on the tip of everyone's tongue right now after Christopher Nolan's newest cinematic epic. He's once again delivered the largest film event of the year, and with a text as gargantuan as Homer's and Nolan's own mastery of the populist blockbuster, how could it not be? There's been much made of Nolan's work as an adaptation though, everything from casting to costume choices to interpretations of the text, and I think a lot of it is unfair, to be honest. As with almost any film based on literature, much of the adaptation process is about finding a defined lens to read and condense the text that will, of course, have to pick and choose what themes and narrative threads it engages with. Nolan leans into his admiration of Odysseus as a figure and paints the world with such grandeur, heavily indulging in the moments with the most scale. And while I have my own issues and reservations about Nolan's film, as a large-scale spectacle adaptation of the Odyssey for modern audiences, Nolan is, in the end, quite successful. However, these spectacular elements are not the ones that I find most compelling to extract from Homer's text. For me, the way the Odyssey explores the primal relations between man, the natural world, and the delusions of temptation are most compelling. Homer's work is one of deep sexuality and environmental meditation. It's deeply in tune with the spiritual and natural planes that sort of surround Odysseus throughout the narrative. Many of these internalities are lost in the translation from poetry to cinema. However, when watching Franco Piavoli's adaptation for the first time last week, I was struck by just how vividly he captured the dreamy, esoteric nature of the poem. As a filmmaker, Piavoli spent his career interested almost exclusively in image and sound. This obsession can be found most clearly in his debut film, 1982's Blue Planet. It's an avant-garde nature documentary that applies experimental rhythmic editing techniques to, as Piavoli put it, explore aspects of nature and humankind that are not immediately evident to the naked eye. What better filmmaker to explore such a primal, archetypal story as the Odyssey than one whose formal tendencies are rooted in the simple interplay between image and sound? All is stripped down to its root here in Piavoli's work. To force the audience to focus exclusively on his images and sounds, Pivoli made the bold choice to set the film in a fictional language inspired by multiple ancient Mediterranean dialects, none of which are subtitled.
Liko! Yanu! Yoshi! Yoshi! Yanu!
Spoken dialogue is sparse, and what little there is just kind of blends into the rest of the soundscape, lost to time, entirely elusive for modern audiences. We are all forced to engage with the film in the same way then, not through the filter of our own individual languages, but by placing our attention instead on the language of the actors' bodies, and faces, and rhythms. The lack of defined language allows this to be a deeply, universally human parable. Now, it's hard to talk about this film's plot in any conventional way. What little narrative there is so loosely connected within the film that it almost kind of necessitates you at least having a working understanding of Homer's text to make any sense of a story here. My friend who I watched the film with said it almost felt exclusively like the in-between moments of a more conventional telling of the Odyssey, which I found to be pretty true. We spend the entire film at sea with Odysseus on his journey home. The title Nostos is the ancient Greek word, quite literally meaning homecoming. The way Piavoli captures the churning seas is darkly enchanting. It turns over and over itself, unpredictably oscillating between vengeful beast and willing companion. All of nature, the sea, the sky, the beaches and caves, seem to be characters of their own, blurry among Odysseus' dreamy delusions, Piavoli's camera is meditative, embracing the oppressive weight of the natural world and atmosphere, rendering Odysseus and his boat so small and helpless against nature's vastness. When we first meet Odysseus in Nostos, he is struggling to escape the haunting nightmares of Troy with memories of an idyllic childhood. It is in these memories of Odysseus as a child playing with a hoop that I think we unlock the key to understanding the film. Piavoli stated that the hoop is, quote, a symbol of time seen as an element that turns in on itself. A child pushing the circle expresses the conception of time as seen by scientists. Something circular and linear, time as a succession of points in an infinite line that runs from the past to the future. Why reinterpret a classic unless you have something to say? And this quote from Piavoli, I think most clearly reveals what he's trying to contribute to the dialogue around the Odyssey. He sees this as a story of humanity's desire for exploration and discovery and knowledge. Ancient myths have become timeless because they speak to innate elements of our humanity that manifest in every generation. Piavoli's Odysseus is one we can graft our own curiosities and troubles onto, filled with such depth despite exploring major narrative beats with just a few images intertwined in conversation. His brilliant calypso sequence, for example, is not more than a few minutes, but through a combination of evocatively sexual images of nature and shifting shadows in the twilight non-linearly cut together, the weight of their time together can be felt in just one night. It's truly, really magical. Nostos the Return is about the cyclical nature of life, passed through generations, the act of going out into the world, making or finding something valuable, and returning home. Or, as Italian critic Aldo Lostello put it, a man leaves his childhood to return to childhood. It is a circular journey, a continuous return. I don't think any shot in the film better illustrates Lostello's words than this one right here. Odysseus, after the collapse of his raft, desperately struggling through the waves to return home, swimming in the direction of the superimposed reflection of the moon, its celestial presence looming large over his powerless body. The image looks a bit like sperm struggling towards an egg during conception, as Odysseus' search for home has led him right back to his very beginnings. Nostos the Return is an absolutely breathtaking piece of cinematic poetry, and I cannot encourage you enough to seek it out. The film is tragically underseen, and I would genuinely give anything to get a 4K restoration of this.